Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my favorites from 2018. I've started my channel this year, and so this year I looked more into makeup that I really loved. I have a lot of good favorites to share with you guys, so let's just go ahead and get started. So my favorite primers are the only two primers that I've been using literally all year. The Soap & Glory One Heck of a Blot primer and the Too Faced Hangover RX primer. These are my favorite primers. You guys already know. This one is just so good, and it's drugstore. I always put this in my T-zone, like on my nose and down into my smile lines. It helps blur out your pores and mattify you just a little bit. I find that it helps me not get as oily throughout the day, and I just love it. The Too Faced Hangover RX primer has been one that I've been using for years. I've repurchased this several times. I am kind of on the hunt for a primer that's a little bit more moisturizing maybe. This is very moisturizing. I feel like I could almost use something a little bit more moisturizing, but especially in the winter I get so dry on my cheek area. In the summer it's great primer. For foundation, I have quite a few, and to be honest, they're all drugstore. I did purchase a high-end foundation this year, but then after I started using these from the drugstore, the high-end foundation was good, but when I could get these for a drugstore price, I was like, probably gonna do that. First one is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. I have mine in the shade Desert Beige, and it's way too dark for me. I just mix it with a white foundation. This is such a good foundation. I'm wearing it today. It is good for photos. I would say a soft matte, maybe a satin matte. It's not drying or anything like that, and it just makes the skin look so flawless. It's so cheap. It's less than $10, I'm pretty sure, at the drugstore. I definitely think this is worth the money. You get a whole fluid ounce. It's in a glass bottle. A lot of people complain about the smell. I don't have an issue with the smell, and I feel like I'm pretty sensitive to smells. It just smells like makeup to me. I don't smell anything wrong with it really. Super great for pretty much anyone, but especially if you're on a budget or a beginner. This is a great place to start. Then I also loved the LA Girl Pro Matte Foundation. Mine is in Soft Honey. Again, it's the wrong shade for me, so I've been mixing it with white. But I tried it without mixing it at all, even though it looked ridiculous. Did a wear test on my channel, and it looks really nice. If you have oily skin, I think you would just love this. If you have drier skin, I don't know. It just kept me pretty matte throughout the day. Even when my oils started to come through, it just looked like I had a natural glow. It didn't look bad. It never caked up or anything like that. It's definitely long wearing, and it comes in this nice glass bottle. And again, this one is so affordable. My all-time favorite foundation of the entire year is definitely this Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Foundation. I'm in the shade F10, and it is my perfect shade. This is such a good foundation. It's matte, but it's more of like a satin matte. It's so full coverage. It lasts throughout the day, throughout the night. Everything just blends seamlessly on top of it. It just makes your skin look healthy. It doesn't look dry at all, even though it is a matte foundation. It's just so good. I can't say enough good things about this. If I'm going to go somewhere where I know that I want my skin to look amazing and I want it to last, I always choose this one. Out of anything, I would definitely say pick up this foundation, and I'm pretty sure it's $12 at Ulta. You can't beat that. So for concealer, I'm sure everyone's gonna say the Tarte Shape Tape. It's been a favorite for years, ever since they came out. It is definitely one of my favorites. I used it for the majority of the year. Now I use the shade Medium Honey, and it's perfect for highlighting under my eyes. It's so full coverage. It doesn't crease. You've heard all these things about this concealer, but my other favorite is actually from the drugstore. This is a Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. I'm in the shade C8. I don't know if it's the shade, I don't know if it's the coverage, I think it's everything. I love this concealer. It's just my go-to concealer. It's so good for highlighting. It blends out so nicely. It doesn't break me out. It just looks so good all over the face. I do know that they make a bigger one, because like on this one you're only getting 0.14 ounces, and you get like 3 of these in one tube. It's online only on Ulta. I'm definitely going to be buying that. I've already repurchased one backup. It's such an affordable concealer, so I definitely think you need to go get that. I struggled a lot with face powder this year. For the longest time I was trying to use those translucent face powders, and they were giving me flashback. They were lightening up my foundation and concealer. Didn't want to buy a high-end face powder and then not like it, or just kind of like it and have spent a lot of money on it. But then I heard a lot of people raving about these two face powders, both from the drugstore, so I had to go pick them up. One of them is the LA Girl Pro Powder in the banana yellow shade. A really good powder to set your entire face. It doesn't do that thing where it clumps up where you have the concealer or anything. It's really good for baking. It's good for the under eyes. It's just good all around. It's really finely milled, so it's not like, I don't know how to explain it, but they seem like talky powders. I feel like they're gonna make you sneeze or something, and it's very inexpensive. My absolute favorite is this Makeup Revolution Luxury Baking Powder in the lace shade. The only thing I hate about this is the packaging. I mean, look at this tiny little thing. I usually take the lid from this one and dump this in there, so there's like a mixture of both in this. Baking is something I just got into this year, and having a good powder to do that with is essential because otherwise it can make you look cakey and way worse. So these two have been the only two I've been using since I discovered them. Bronzer, I only have one product, and you guys know what it is. It's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the shade Deep Bronzer. I think it was this year that they came out with the deep color, and I'm so glad they did. I still think they need to come out with deeper shades because I'm using the deep skin tone and I'm like a medium skin tone. So anyone with like a darker complexion can't use any of the butter bronzers, and the formula is so good. It just makes you look like you've been out in the sun. It's just perfect. It's such a good bronzer. You can build it up. Even if you put too much, you can always blend it out. I'm of course wearing it today, and it is so beautiful. I haven't found a high-end bronzer that's comparable to this. This is definitely a product that I'll repurchase again and again. For blush, I have two, not only for the color but for the formula. Again, they're both from the drugstore. I just feel like the drugstore this year just came through for all of us balling on a budget. The first one is this Burt's Bees blush in the shade Bare Peach. I just think this is such a beautiful color. The Burt's Bees blushes have such a good formula. They're matte, but they're not like matte, like more of a satin matte. You just take some on a brush and put it on, and your cheeks are filled with life. I really do like the other shade too, Toasted Cinnamon, but not as much as I love this Bare Peach shade. It's such a good color. The Wet n Wild Color Icon blushes in general, I know a lot of people love these. This is the shade Mellow Wine. I also use the shade Apricot in the middle a lot, but it has some shimmers in it, and this is just a matte blush. It's the blush I'm wearing today, and it is so beautiful. The formula is so good. It blends so well. It doesn't enhance your pores. It's not too much in your face, and if you apply too much, you can just take a brush and blend it out, no problem. For highlighter, I only have one product to mention. I've never been a person that's like, wow, I need all the highlighters in the world. A lot of people are in love with highlighters. Beaming highlights has been a trend, but for me, I want something that can be natural or I can build it up, and that's exactly what this does for me. This is the Milani Stellar Lights highlighter palette, and this is in 03 Rose Glow. I guess there's two other palettes, but I think one of them's like purples and blues, and I don't want that. It comes with a pearl shade, a golden shade, and a rose gold shade. As you can see, these two are my most used for sure. I definitely mix these a lot, but this golden shade is beautiful too. I get so much use out of this palette. I'm wearing it today with all three mixed on my face. It doesn't emphasize texture. There is glitter in there, but it's just so subtle you don't see it because I definitely don't like glitter on my face. Milani just in general has been coming out with a lot of really good products this year. Pretty much the only highlighter that I reach for all year. So eyebrows, I've been using the same thing that I've always used. I'm looking for a drugstore dupe or something better because this is expensive. This is the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and I use the shade Ebony. It's a great shade. I've repurchased this so many times, and it is so good. This year, I got more into tinted brow gels. At first, I didn't like them because I thought I have my perfect brow when I use the pencil, and then I'm gonna disrupt it with a color. I figured out how to use them. I love them now. Just kind of fill in the spaces that you may have missed. They make your brow hairs look a little bit more natural. And my favorite this year has been the Essence Make Me Brow, and this is an O2 Brownie Brows. This is a great brow gel if you want something tinted. It has the little fibers in it just like the Gimme Brow. They're pretty much exactly the same. The spoolie is great. I just run it through my brows and it just fills in the places that I missed, and it's just so good. This year I started doing a lot of different things with my makeup. I started exploring different techniques, and one thing that I'm so glad that I got into was priming my eyes with an actual eyeshadow primer rather than just concealer. I will do it with just concealer if I'm not gonna do a crazy eye look or if it's just a natural day, but if I have a more dramatic look, I will reach for this Smashbox Photo Finish Lid Primer in the shade Light. I thought this was just a gimmick. Like, I thought this was just gonna be like a thick concealer, but it's not. It definitely keeps my eyeshadow from creasing throughout the day. It's not like a 24-hour thing, like you're gonna crease eventually, but for a normal 8 to 10 hour day, this is going to keep you from creasing. It's gonna keep your eyeshadow looking fresh. It's gonna keep it from fading away, and I really, really love it. Another thing that I actually tried this year was a glitter primer. This one is from NYX. I know that a lot of people like the Too Faced glitter glue, and I've never tried that before, but I've heard this is a pretty good alternative. I really, really liked it. It definitely enhances the eyeshadow, especially shimmers. If you're working with a shimmer that looks better in the pan than it does on your eye, if you use some of this, put the shadow right on top of where you put this, it just pops. It's amazing. It's like a miracle worker, honestly. So for mascara, I have two favorites. The first one is this Wander Beauty Unlashed Volume and Curl Mascara. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and at first I didn't think I liked it, but you have to go in with 2 coats, and I'm okay with that because I don't go through a whole tube of mascara before it dries out anyway. It gives me so much volume and my eyelashes don't fall down with it, which is something I definitely have had a problem with most mascaras. I have short stubby lashes. I really, really enjoyed this mascara. The other mascara that I discovered this year that I was very, very hesitant about was this Essence Volume Stylist 18-Hour Lash Extension Mascara. It says it has lengthening fibers. That scared me because I didn't want the little fibers to be like falling off in my eye. But it doesn't happen like that, and I do use 2 coats of it because I just am a 2 coat kind of person with mascara. It definitely does give me more length. Essence is such an affordable brand, and I feel like there's only a few products that I hear people talking about. This mascara is really, really good, and it definitely has made me want to try more of their mascaras. For eyeshadow palettes, I have a few that I've reached for a lot. Definitely my most used palette of the year is the Zodiac palette. This is such a unique palette. I had nothing like this in my collection. It's got matte, it has shimmers, it has warm tones, it has cool tones, it has a little bit of everything. You can get a natural look out of this, you can get a glam look, and it's affordable. It has a really nice mirror in it. Also been using the Dream Street palette, another really great palette. This leans, I think, a little bit more warm. I know that Kathleen said that when she made the Zodiac palette, she wanted to make it to where you could use it in conjunction with the Dream Street, and that's exactly what I've been doing. I love ColourPop palettes, and I definitely think that ColourPop has my favorite pressed eyeshadow formula, and it lasts on the eyes. It blends out well. It's not too pigmented, it's not pigmented. It's just everything that I would want in an eyeshadow palette, and it's affordable. I always love their packaging. The Too Faced Sweet Peach palette is definitely a palette that I use a lot. I created this eye look with it. It's just such a good palette. I don't know, like, I can't say that I dip into every color by any means, but I just really enjoyed this palette. I think it has a great formula. I think it blends out really well, and it smells really nice. Another high-end palette that I purchased this year was the Naked Heat palette. At first I was disappointed in it, like once I started using it, but the more I used it and once I started using eyeshadow primer, the more I liked it. This is just warm tone heaven. All the warm tones you could possibly need in here. These 3 right here are great transition shades, some really good shimmers right here, and some darker colors to deepen out looks. You can take it from natural everyday to nighttime sultry. It's the only Naked palette I've ever purchase, and I don't regret buying it. So for setting sprays, these are my 2 most used and pretty much only used. The Milani Make It Last. Your face looks so good when you're done. All of the powders just sink right into the skin once you spray that on your face, and it's only $10 at the drugstore. And Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. I was really hesitant to buy this because I saw people using this, and for some reason I was getting hairspray vibes. So I was like, is it gonna be sticky? And it's not. It's like this, but it's in a continuous setting mist, and it just makes the experience of putting on setting spray so much nicer. The only thing about that is I feel like I get really heavy-handed with it, and I'm just like, I kind of went through this really fast. I have a little bit left, but I definitely think it's worth it because it makes my makeup look so good. So lip products is something that I acquired a lot more of this year. I really, really enjoyed this Urban Decay Comfort Matte Vice lipstick in the shade 1993. I got this in a mini holiday set. It's just like a cool tone nude with like an undertone of brownish gray. It is such a good color for when you're doing more of a cool tone neutral look or a grungy look. It's so good for when you're wanting that matte look but you don't want a drying liquid lipstick on. And my other favorite bullet lipstick was definitely the ColourPop Luxe lipsticks in the shade What's Your Sign? Mine Brokes. so I have to be careful with it. This is the perfect nude. It literally goes with everything. When I first got this lipstick, I thought it was going to be too light. A lot of times when things say that they're nude, it's a little too light for me because I have a deeper skin tone. But it grew on me and now I just reach for it all the time. It's so easy to apply. The formula is so good and it actually is pretty lasting even though it is like a bullet lipstick. I think this is a great lipstick to keep in your purse and it's definitely made me want to get more of their Luxe lipsticks. I would say the only gloss that I really reached for was the Kathleen Lights Times ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Moonchild. It has little gold glitters in it. It's just a pinky nude. Sometimes if you have a lip that's a little too bold for the look, you can just slap some of this on top. It isn't completely sheer, so when you put it on, it does tone down and lighten up what you have on a little bit. And that's what I've been using it for. I never wear this on its own. I'm not really a glossy person, but this gloss is not sticky. It's just a wearable gloss. Like, it's comfortable and I feel like for a gloss, it does last a pretty long time. This Odesse High Definition Liquid Lipstick doesn't have a shade, but I got it in a BoxyCharm. This is literally like a liquefied lipstick. It doesn't dry down matte. It definitely is like a satin finish, but when I put this on my lips, it makes my lips look so plump and juicy. Even though it doesn't dry down matte, it's not sticky. I would say it's very long wearing for it not being matte. This was just a really good find this year that came out of nowhere and doesn't have a shade name, but I really enjoyed that. I started out the year with this as a favorite, and this is Tarte's Tartist Lip Paint in the shade Festival. This was my go-to lipstick no matter what. I would wear it with everything. It is a nice like pinky nude, and it was limited edition, so I guess you can't get it. Tarte has my favorite applicators on their liquid lipsticks of all time. The reason that one stopped being my favorite is because I got this one, and this is the Tarte Tartist Lip Paint in the shade Bestie. This is truly my perfect nude. I always wear a lip balm under all my liquid lipsticks. I know a lot of people feel like the Tarte ones are pretty drying, and they are pretty drying, but honestly, I don't mind it because it's such a good color. If I could get this in a bullet lipstick, a liquid lipstick, a satin lipstick, a lip gloss, I would be so happy because this is my all-time favorite color to wear. And this one I got in a BoxyCharm. It's the one I'm wearing on my lips today. This is the Ofra liquid lipstick in the shade Verona. It's like a deepish nude. It's like more grungy, a more cool tone. Ofra has such a comfortable formula. I don't find that it ever feels super drying or anything with this formula. It's almost like the lipstick is whipped. So light and fluffy when you put it on your lips. And they have a good applicator too. Another color that I really enjoyed this year was the Anastasia liquid lipstick in the shade Ashton. It doesn't look like it in the tube, but this is like a deep brown toned pinky color. One thing I don't like about this is the applicator. I don't love it. It's like that flat paddle. This stays on forever. It is a little drying and that's how it stays on forever, but I always, like I said, wear a lip balm underneath it, and even when I wear that lip balm underneath it, this stays on forever. If you're wanting a liquid lipstick that lasts, definitely check out Anastasia. Another one that I enjoyed a lot was this Smashbox Always On Liquid Lip in the shade Stain Neutral. Now this is a cool tone nude. If I'm not careful with what else I'm wearing, this will look like cement on my lips. Sometimes you just want like a grayish nude, and it's, again, to me, more like a grungy color. The applicator on this is also amazing. A really good formula. It lasts a really long time. I think that is it. I think I have talked for way too long. Anyway guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what some of your favorites of this year were, and I hope everyone has a wonderful 2019. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys next year. Bye. Peace.